Thank you, production assistant. Yo, today is Friday, not even Sunday, and it's July 29th, right, cuz?
Yes.
All right, yes. And I got the big homie here. Go ahead and introduce yourself.
Listen, it is a privilege to be here on Sentimentally Speaking. I'm Tyrell Hughes, born and raised in Albany, New York, and I am looking forward to diving into these questions today as the guest. So thanks for having me on by. I can't wait to see what you got for me.
Thank you. Thanks for accepting the request, though. That's pretty dope. And you know what else I think is mad dope? The topic you picked. Because as y'all know, Sentimentally Speaking, your girl, Lady Lips, always give her guests the option to choose to be love, life, sex, and relationship. And Tyrell, you chose?
I chose love.
And I was so excited about that shit because I'm just all about love. Like, love is my thing.
Yeah.
So why did you choose love?
Well, my answer to you was I chose love. I don't know if I'm supposed to look there or look at you.
We can look at each other.
Okay,
Yeah, yeah.
So I chose love because love encompasses the other two topics as well. So I think if you really take a deeper dive, and I'm all about introspection, love tackles sex, it tackles everything that you need to do.
Life and relationships. It sure does. It really is an all-encompassing topic.
There you go.
It really is. And even life can, like, all of it kind of intertwines.
Absolutely.
So, but the things I want to talk about today, the questions I came up with, and I've been pondering this since you agreed to come, it's really going to allow us to dive into the emotion of love.
Okay.
My very first question to Tyrell.
Okay.
What is love to you? Love is what? Go ahead. Let's sit together. Cheers.
Cheers. Let me dive in. That's an easy one. Love is an action.
Oh.
So, and I'm not getting all philosophical. I got this from Love Jones.
Okay.
So, love is what you do and to whom you do it with.
Wow.
And to be honest, you can love anybody. I think my younger years, I might have been looking for this mystical, magical shit that isn't what love is. Love is, it's in motion, so it's an action word.
Okay. Who
you choose to do and to whom you choose to do it with. So for me, that is love.
And I like that you say that. Even though it was something borrowed, it must have been something that resonated with you because you reiterated that. And when you said it, I was like, because I didn't expect you to call it an action. When I think of love, most people think of it as a feeling, as something that's external that gets poured into us, right? But when you take it and you make it an action, it could be something you give to yourself, it could be something you give to others, it could be something you receive. In that aspect, when we think about love, does love have conditions on it? Should it be conditional?
They say it shouldn't. So,
they
are we talking textbook or are we talking in actuality?
We talking our reality.
All right, so in reality, hell yeah, it has conditions on it. Because if I love you, I am not going to go out of my way to hurt you.
Okay.
If I love you, even if we ain't talking, I will give myself distance enough for you to do your own thing and for me to do my own thing. Okay. If I love you, I want to celebrate with you. I want to be a part of your life, not just be somebody that be sitting there looking. We got lurkers, right? So if I love you, I'm actively a part of your life. So.
Do we ever stop loving people? Can you really stop loving someone that you once loved?
No. That's
Nope.
That's a great point. No,
okay.
You can't because for me, like if I love you, even if I have a falling out with you, I still love you. I might not move with you the same way. I genuinely still love you. I honestly do. Okay. But I might learn how to maneuver around in that love a little bit better or a little bit different than what it used to be. But if I love you, I love you. But how I show my love to you or the extent that I show my love to you might change. So with me, there is conditions on it.
There is conditions on it. Okay.
I love you from afar. If you're not disrespectful, we can love together.
So it sounds like your love is unconditional, but it may vary in how you show it to them. Okay, because you're gonna love them. My love for you is there. It just depending on how we rock. I might show it differently,
Yeah.
which we're going to touch into because I want to talk about its levels to love.
Okay.
But you said something that made me think. Actions, right? We're going back to the first question. What is love? Love is action. I love that shit. Now, let's say, we love each other, right? But I'm not showing up for your birthday. I didn't attend your wedding. I'm not at your kids' birthday parties. Is that showing love?
It depends. It depends. I don't think.
But I love you. I'm just not there for all the major important things.
You absolutely
is that
can
acceptable?
still love me. Yes, it is acceptable.
Okay.
Because some of it you might not be able to.
All right.
Everyone's situations is different. You know what I mean? Whether it's finances, whether it's travel, whether it's having the license, whatever it is, everybody's thing is different. But if I see you hopping out and popping up at everybody else's shit, like, oh, you made it to Miami, or you made it to Mexico, or you made it. So people make time for what's important.
Exactly.
And, you'll never get me to say anything different.
Mm-hmm.
So if you're important to me, I will make time. Period. Regardless of what my schedule is like.
Is it safe to say that person who lives in the same city as you, so distance is not an issue, the person who claims they are financially stable, so money's not an issue, for the person who doesn't have conflicts when it comes to everybody else, so therefore time is not an issue, is it safe to say that maybe that person may have you categorized differently than maybe you've expected when they're not showing up for you in a way that actionable love would?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How do we deal with that when we love people and they ain't showing us the same love we would show them?
I think to be honest, it's very important not to allow somebody else to dictate how you love. So for me, I'm a Virgo, so I'm always overanalyzing. I'm looking at how you move. I'm looking at how you don't move. I'm looking at if you respond or not. So if I eventually catch on that you're not showing up to anything, I'll just take it as either maybe we cool surface level, but maybe we're not cool below that, and I'll learn how to deal with that accordingly. Once I know what space I'm in, I can deal with anybody. So it's just I gotta figure out where I am in your life. And, I want to know that. So, like, I tell people where they are in my life. So, when I love you, I love you. If I ain't messing with you, it's not one of those things you're going to have to be worried about either. I'm going to tell you, too. It's like, no.
Really?
Yeah, absolutely. I believe in being upfront. I believe in...
Okay.
You know what I mean?
How do you tell somebody I don't love you like I used to? Because you're not going to just let your actions show it. You're actually going to verbalize it.
Yeah, I have to. Because I think it's cowardice, if that is a word, to know how you feel and not say it, right? So I've learned how to say it better over the years because I think that, I can be a huge critic at times, but I've learned to keep my opinion to myself unless you ask.
Okay.
You know what I mean? And same thing for other people. It's like, people ain't paying your bills. They're not taking care of your children. They're not doing X, Y, and Z. Everyone's entitled to their own opinion, but it might not matter as much.
Yeah.
Now, if you help me take care of my kids, pay my bills, or whatever it may be, it's like, okay, I may value that one a certain level.
Right. But I do feel like, I know we shouldn't let other people's actions dictate how we love, but they will.
Yep.
If I'm, showing up for you, if I'm hitting you up, if I'm asking to spend time with you, and you don't show up for me, you're not reciprocating the contact, and you ain't making time for me, I may still love you, but I'm going to stop doing all that shit that I once was doing that you wasn't giving to me back in return. Is that negative?
The question is, where does it leave you? So if you decide to stop doing what it is that you normally do, right, where does it leave you?
I think it frees up resources to pour that into somebody more deserving.
Okay.
So I just cannot keep pouring into a strainer because it's seeping out. It's not going anywhere. But if I got a colander that's, the holes are patched up, it's holding on to everything I pour in, and eventually I receive that back, that's where I'd rather place my love.
I agree with you.
But I do feel like it could be a little toxic to be like, I do like the idea that others' actions shouldn't dictate how we love, but they do for me.
And I think initially, up front, it's going to affect us all. Up front. But, I didn't learn this until I got married, right? learning how to get out of a rut, right? My family is a very passionate family. You know, we emotional as hell. We will fight you. We will fight each other. But learning how to move forward wasn't something I learned until I actually started to see other people's families. Which is like my family, you know, I argue with you. Like we might not talk for 2 years. I still love you. I ain't gonna let nobody else do nothing to you, but I ain't talking to you, right?
Yeah.
And it wasn't until I met my wife and her family, to be perfectly honest, was just like, y'all just argued and y'all still calling each other the same day. This is weird, right? But it was just like I got to the point where I learned how to respect it, and I also started to apply it in my own family. It helped my relationship with my mom. It helped my relationship with my siblings, and it was just like, you know.
You just fucking hit on something, because that is a problem that I noticed with my own family, and then that I pay attention to with others. I think that stems from the fact that you could argue and then literally not talk to somebody for years, because I've experienced it. It stems from unhealed trauma, I think. Because it sounds like your wife has a very healthy family dynamic.
No.
Oh, really?
No.
But they still are able to argue and
move forward.
What do you think is the difference then?
So the difference is that you know, and I love you, baby. I hope that nobody kill me for this. But the difference is that their ability to move forward is how they process things. So it's like, you know, I'm not gonna stay on the fact that Ty just stepped on my shoe, right? We're gonna move forward, right? Most families are gonna be like, damn, you just stepped on my shoe, dog. You didn't even apologize. We ain't moving forward until you apologize. Them, they're like, nah, we can move forward. I know what just happened. We gonna pretend like it didn't happen. We gonna move forward.
But does that still allow ill feelings to harbor?
No, because they don't. They move forward when they
literally move forward.
Listen, it was unheard of, bye. I'm serious.
It was different for me too.
Listen. I'm like, listen. I ain't built like that. No, you did something to me. You gonna hear about it. I'm gonna tell you about it until you apologize or I apologize, and we can move forward. But learning that from them was really dope, because you may not never get an apology, you may not never get clarification, but if I stay stuck in a rut, that's on me.
I'm holding on to that. Like they say with forgiveness.
Yeah.
It's punishing yourself when you don't.
Because they moving forward. Everybody else going on doing their own thing.
They ain't thinking about that. You still worried about that, man? I done bought 2 pairs of sneakers. Here, have one. But interesting.
Yeah, so honestly, I mean, just to close that point, I think that, to be honest, I was what my wife needed and she was what I needed, because in her family, I would say they got to learn how to deal with some stuff too. My family, we gonna deal with it. We gonna argue it until we are tired or blue in the face. But our moving forward ability wasn't there.
Okay.
Right. So I was able to take the move forward ability from my wife's family and apply it with the fact that, you know, we gonna deal with what the problem is, but we still gonna move forward. So, you know what I mean, you learn how to take bits and pieces from different people and you try to create the most healthiest experience. Right? Realizing you're still going to fall short, I'm going to try to create the most healthiest experience that I can. And that helped me.
Yeah. So. I like that, but that's the beauty of having different people in our lives with different perspectives that we can hopefully learn and grow from. And you guys were able to be that for each other. That's love. That's an action. I like it. Doo-doo. Is love blind?
Can be.
It sure can be.
It sure can be. Like, because it goes back to if it's an action. Right? Like I said, if you get rid of that whole mystical, magical thought of what love should be, like, oh my gosh, I got butterflies, or, you know what I mean? It was just like, no, when you get to the thick of it, I want somebody to care for me. I want somebody to be there for me. I want somebody that I can trust. I want somebody that I can rely on. Right? And you can create those with anybody. So,
True.
You know what I mean? So, yeah.
Okay. Because I think of this saying, there's a constant battle between the heart and mind. Absolutely. One is smart and the other is blind. And when I think about love, right, because let's just use a hypothetical situation. You got 2 individuals that are together. They're in a relationship, or maybe even a friendship or a kinship. It doesn't even matter, right? Now, the mind is processing the inaction of this love that they're supposed to have for us. The mind is picking up on all these things that they aren't doing, that they should be doing if you say you love me, right?
Yep.
But the heart, metaphorically, is feeling this love. And the heart is like, Mine, shut up. But I love them. And they love me. They told me they love me. And I do love them. When I see them, I get excited. When I think of them, I get butterflies, or I have warm feelings, or I'm happy to see them. Which one? Both are doing it. Their function, are functioning the way they should. Should logic ever supersede love, or should love supersede logic?
Logic. I'm gonna lean more towards logic because feelings are subject to change. They're wishy-washy. They change every day.
They do.
You know what I mean? I may wake up and feel totally different, honestly. So, and it's like, I may not like how this conversation went today, but give me a couple of days, I might realize that, damn, I might have took it the wrong way. Right? So, no. So logic should outweigh feelings because feelings are so wishy-washy. Right? They're not concrete. They change all of the time.
So how the fuck do people say I love you, but never show it? Should we believe those individuals?
No. As DMX said, when a person shows you who they are, believe them. So love is a choice. It's an action. If I love you, and if you tell me, like, this is what showing up means to me. Like, this is what showing up looks like for me. So you have already identified what it looks like for you. So if I don't show up, right, that means that, one, I'm not meeting your expectation of what love is. Now, if I got a valid, legit reason, hopefully, you'll accept that. But if it's just like, I don't feel like coming out today, right? I might not be meeting your expectation for love, right? I think the most important part is setting what our expectations for love, for what it means to be loved. Each person has their own expectations for love. Everybody, love may be this unconditional blind thing where you just run into the fire for somebody and that means love. It's not love to me. Growing up in my household, even with my mom, I had to learn that, for her, she used to believe that, if you love a person, you're going to tell them about themselves. Right?
Being honest.
Yeah.
It's love, yeah.
Yeah. But that shit used to drive me nuts, and it also used to cause all types of conflicts amongst me and my siblings, too, because it's like we'll feel like we're obligated to tell the other person something out of love. It's like, you should be doing this or whatever. It's like, so the more mature I got, the more I started to settle into my own self. I had to realize that, it's not my space. Even if I feel like I have an opinion, once again, if I'm not paying your bills, I'm not doing these other things, those are just my opinions. Let me keep it to myself. Love doesn't have to be confrontational. Love can just be, respectful from a distance.
True.
Because I'm not taking care of your stuff. You are.
So love can be expressed differently. It could be through action or it could be through verbalizing. But like you said, there is some discernment that we must exercise even in love. Because that honest love could sometimes lead to confrontation, which could change the dynamic. I think of love, right? I'm going to use love now in the aspects of marriage. You've been married 8 years, you told me. Shout out to you and your wife, because I love love. People, what made y'all want to get married? I love her. I love him. But you hear that, right? You love. And then you also know that people will stay in the marriage once the love has dissipated. So, should we see love when we go into something, some type of ship, relationship, kinship, friendship? Should we be looking at love as the bare minimum, meaning this is the foundation of what we're trying to build together? Or is it the end-all, be-all? Meaning as long as there's love there, then everything else will work itself out.
I don't think that love should be the everything, because obviously love is associated with a feeling. So I think that and you married, so your love or my feeling about you might change. I love you. I still want to be with you. I might not like you today.
That's different, I think. The love is still there at the core, but what happens when that love isn't action? There's no action to support it.
Okay.
But I love you, but I'm not going out with you. I'm not sleeping in the same bed with you. I'm not traveling with you. We're not spending quality time. I'm not speaking your love language. But you love me. How the fuck I'm supposed to know that?
Okay.
That's why I was so impressed with the love is action. Because I think without action, how I'm supposed to know there's love.
Okay.
And when our partners aren't, or friends or family isn't showing that love, is it time to then walk away from that?
Not necessarily.
Ooh.
Not necessarily.
Talk about it.
Until you realize, because like some people don't know what they're not doing, right?
Okay.
And you know, I didn't learn this until therapy. You know me. So shout out first and foremost to therapy. Therapy is dope. But if you don't know how somebody else loves, you might be processing their love the wrong way, right? So my wife is big on gifts. That's her love language, right? Gifts are the lowest on mine, right? I scored the same on words of affirmation and acts of service, right? So it's like, and it makes sense. She's like, damn, this makes sense. I was like, but then once I learned what her love language was, here it is. I'm expecting her to do to love me the way that I love, right? Like tell me, it's like, wow, I'm proud of you, or whatever it is, right? That ain't her thing. Like my wife used to come home. This is actually before we got married. So so we might be on like year 2 when I first read the 5 love languages.
Okay.
Right?
Yeah.
And I'm just like, she might be on year 3. No, it must have been year 2. So I was like, man, I missed for a whole year how she was trying to express love to me. Right? Like we had an argument. She may come home with some Bojangles or some shit like that, and I'd be like, but that was her way of making peace.
Yes.
Right? And I'm just like, no, just say you sorry. That's what I'm looking for. I'm looking for this or whatever it was. But it was just like, that was her way of making peace. When I read the book, it was just like, holy shit, Tyrell. You know, you were overlooking it because I didn't know I didn't know Gary Chapman's joint and all that back then. It was just like, oh, okay. But anyway, I learned who isn't a word. So anyway, everyone loves differently. Yeah. So you have to know, you can't give up if you don't even know how that person has been communicating with you first. So the very first thing is trying to figure out, you know, have I been receiving that person's love appropriately, or have I been viewing it through my own lens? And if I've been viewing it wrong, I got to give it some more time. I got to reevaluate it. I got to go back and say, well, you know what? I've been doing it wrong. You know what I mean? You've been loving me wrong. I've been loving you wrong, but we didn't even know what we were looking for. Now let's go back and try it again. Okay. You know what I mean? If you now know what the person is looking for and you still pull up short, you're unable to meet those standards or whatever, then you might say, yo, listen, you know, I love you, you love me, but we don't have it within each other's capacity right now to give each other what we need. And, you know, I ain't about, bad blood. I ain't about waiting for it to be all messy and whatever. No, we can, hey, this ain't it. You ain't happy with me, or I ain't happy with you. I have to find
to amicably go to that. Yeah.
I
want to get back to the time frame of, you said, you know, give it time to once we figure out what each other's love language is or how to speak love unto one another, then we start back and we give it time. I want to circle back to that. But I want to go back. So you read the book. I didn't read the book. I read articles. I did not read the book. I read articles. I done did the assessment. You know, they got apology assessment too, which I absolutely love because that's very enlightening as well. I did not read the book, but I've always interpreted the love language because when you do the questionnaire, they ask you, if your partner does X, Y, and Z, which would you be most receptive of? So to me, it's like that's how someone else could show me love. That my love language is the way that other people can show me love for me, not how I express it to them. So if your wife's love language is gift giving, and your love language is acts of service and words of affirmation, I always interpret it as she should be showing you through the language that you understand and you receive, and you show her through the way she receives, which is gift giving. But the book actually says you're speaking it, you're giving it and receiving it in that way, not just the way you want it, but in theirs as well.
Absolutely.
So if she's gift giving, she's giving you a gift, you should be receptive of that too. Not even if she ain't speaking words of that.
Yep. Absolutely.
I didn't know that.
Absolutely. Because I think the easier way is to always get someone to come down to where we are, right? Love me how I want you to love me, and just respect that. But there's levels to it, man. It's just like, yo, you know, you may help me to learn how to love better. right? I might have been processing and thinking that this is how love is supposed to be, how love is supposed to be experienced. But, you know, if I'm just stuck in my own way of how I've experienced it, I might not be open to how I'm supposed to be experiencing it, right? And it's not supposed to be the same. Love is supposed to change. How you interact is supposed to change.
That's tough for me to receive because I feel like if my partner's love language is gift giving, right? And you buying me pocketbooks and shoes, and I just want to fucking cuddle. I just want a 10-second hug. I'm never going to feel that love. Yes, it shows me that you're thinking about me. Yes, it shows me that you are buying me nice things. But if that's not how I feel love, it's pointless. And if I tell you, get rid of the gifts, take me on a trip so we could be together, and you still want to come in with shit that means nothing to me, you're not speaking my love language.
Okay. Listen,
I'm never going to feel it. All right.
I'm coming back to you because the question is, and I know we're speaking hypothetically, but the question is, why didn't you read the book?
I don't know. I don't know. I do not have a reason.
Okay. All right. Perfect. I will accept that. And the only reason why I'm asking it is because it's just like, you know, it's kind of like we live in an age where you can research the most. We got access to the most, but we do the least research, right? We want the easiest, most reachable, most comfortable solution, when really that might not be the best solution. The better solution might be taking a deeper dive into it and realizing that it's not just about, you know what I mean, that other person or these people meeting my expectations of love, but how do I meet their expectations for love? Because you can't give what you don't receive, right? It's like if you got an empty tank, you can't give nothing out of an empty tank. But the reason why I was asking about reading is because it's like, yo, when I learned about the book, I highly recommended the book to other people. The crazy part is that the 5 Love Languages, it's a book that will blow your mind, that is, in my opinion, 10, 15 times better than the 5 Love Languages. And it is a book called How We Love. Oh. Right? I can't think of the author's name right now. K something, whatever it is. But How We Love makes each of us as individuals first, before you start processing your romantic love. It'll go back to Vi as a kid, right? How did you experience love? How were you introduced to love, right? And it'll say, like, you know, how we get introduced to love affects everything else moving forward in our lives. We may think that as adults now, we're so far removed from our childhood experiences, but our childhood experiences and how we were introduced with love as a child affects us even now as an adult.
That was our foundation. Yeah. That's what we built upon.
Like I said, in my household, and my love language, I mean, how we showed love was, you know what I mean, argue, tell a person where they're wrong, you know what I mean? So it was like, oh, but this is normal, right? That was normal in the Hughes household.
Yeah.
Right, but
once we stepped outside, it was a little different.
Oh, y'all don't do it this way? No. So, you know, How We Love, I think, is 10 times better because it puts the onus on us to dig a little bit deeper into ourselves, into our childhood. And reading that book changed the game, no lie, in my marriage. Maybe about 10 days. Right? For both me and my wife.
Y'all both read it?
Yep, both read it. Yep.
I'm going to read that. Thank you for telling me about that. I'm gonna check. And I'm also going to read the 5 Love Languages because I feel like I owe it to myself to get a deeper dive. Because I feel like, why do I need to read the book when I just need to find out which one of those love languages I most identify with, so that I can express it to my mate in hopes of receiving that. But going back to the childhood thing, you say something that's very interesting, because when I think of it, besides my grandfather, and I think that's why I am so emotionally attached to that man, I got the most love from him. Like, he said it. He was a hugger. Grandpa was, oh, give me kiss, give me hug. You know, like, he did that. And then, like, you know, every morning we had reduced, you know, lunch. And every morning I can go into that bedroom and there was my $1.25 on that dresser. That was showing love. He didn't forget about me. He knew I needed this so I can eat. Graham didn't tell you she loved you much. Grandpa did. So I've always been drawn to my grandfather. And then you go a little deeper. I don't remember being hugged by my mother and father. You know, I don't remember that quality time. I don't remember them telling me they're proud of me. Like, that all plays into that. So now as an adult, I know how that made me feel as a kid. So I dote on my children. Like, literally could tell them, Chandler, I tell that boy at least 10 times a day I love him.
Yep.
Just, that's my baby. I want you to know it and I want you to feel it, and I do it through action. But when it comes to my mate, and because I didn't raise you, and because I can't change who you are, I'm telling you, as a person, this is what I need in order to feel what you claim to have for me. And when that isn't met, then there's a disconnect. How do I believe that there's love there when there's no action with it? And it goes back to my question of time frame. How long does one wait? If you're expressing it, like, yeah, your love language might be physical touch. But mine is acts of service. And if you keep wanting to cuddle, but I actually need the laundry done, the lawn cut, the pool cleaned, the roof patched, and that's not being done, and I'm expressing, hey, can you do this, can you do that, I want this, I want that, and that's not being done, how long does someone wait?
Well, I'm only going to speak for Tyrell. And I will say that wait until God says it is no longer time. Not me, you know what I mean? Not society, not social media, you know what I mean? If God tells me it's time, I have to believe that. Until then, I think like my relationship with my wife wasn't easy, right? So, and I said, I tell people that all the time, like, my longest relationship prior to my wife was probably 6 or 7 months, right? You know, I didn't believe in staying around. So it was just like, you showed me one sign of danger, boop, see you later. Yeah, I had shoes on, my shoes was always ready to go.
By the door, I'm out.
Listen, you showed me a sign, I ran, but one of the things I prayed about, to be perfectly honest, was that, you know, God give me the ability to learn about endurance, right? And me and my wife have been together now for it'll be 10 years this year, 8 years married, right? But learning endurance, I learned everything that I needed to learn through my wife.
Okay.
Right? Honestly.
Because she was vocal about it.
No, because, you know, it was hard as shit. So, yeah, no.
Okay.
Yeah, it was hard as shit. And it was just like, okay, well, you know what? Where my normal self...
So the tribulations led to your triumph, is what you're saying.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, yeah, you know, but it's also about celebrating it while you're in it, right? It was just like, I literally used to pray for God to help me in 2 areas, right? Help me with my finances and help me with my relationship with women. And I progressively continued to get better. The more that, you know, I made little small efforts, right? And, you know, if that's what I'm praying about, I also got to give myself enough time to receive what it is that I'm praying for. And if I still kept that same mentality where it was just like run at the first sign of danger, you know, I wouldn't be 10 years in. So that doesn't mean that you don't have situations, you don't have issues, but it just means that, you know, now when I pray, I ask for endurance and I ask for patience. That's just in life in general.
You said I listen to God. You're a man of faith. I believe in God. What if I don't know the sound of that voice? How did you know that was God and not just you at your end?
I watched. I'm gonna make sure I answer it and not a long-winded answer. I look how things open up, and I look how things close. So, like, you know, if the doors are opening up, or if my life is getting better, moving this way, right? For me, that's like an indication that maybe I'm going in the right direction. Because obviously God's not coming physically and having this conversation with me, right? So, but I got to look at the signs. I got to look at what it is that He's opening up, what it is that He's closing. Sometimes the doors be closing, but we still be rushing in to get to that door. And they'd be like, nah,
keeping it pried open, like, wait.
I want to be in there. You know, so for me, I don't push those things, man. I don't push it if it's just like, if it's if it's chaos, it's probably what God is trying to keep me away from. And that's just how I process it. You know what I mean? Where it's peace, you know what I mean? It's just like, okay, well, you know what? This is where I've been trying to get you to go to, Tyrell.
Yeah.
You've been trying to do your own thing, but, you know what I mean?
That's the distinction I was looking for. Because when I think about it, I don't, people be like, I heard God's voice clear as day. Okay, well, Viola believes in God, but I ain't never heard God's voice clear as day. But I do feel it in my soul and my spirit. And if we pray and we thinking about, God being the spirit and that's the peace. Like if I'm making a decision, right, and it's making me uncomfortable, I'm fidgeting in my sleeve, I just can't rest and settle, then I guess that's the sign that that's not the door you're supposed to go through. But when you make a decision and it's the opposite of what you've been doing and you find complete comfort, it doesn't mean it won't hurt.
Yep.
It doesn't mean that it won't make sense. But if there's a level of tranquility in your spirit, then that's the distinction.
And it should hurt. It should hurt.
Yeah.
Because anything that's worthwhile, you know what I mean, it should hurt. If it's not changing me, right? If I'm allowed to still be the same Tyrell, it's not changing me, right?
Yeah.
So it should be. So anyone asking or anyone dealing with that, you know what I mean, should I go? Should I stay? You know what I mean? Everyone in your life should be bringing you closer to something better in your life. Right, so for me, it's like, are you leading me closer to God? Are you leading me closer to a better version of me? Or are you trying to keep me into, you know what I mean, where you want me to be because you're comfortable with me being there, right?
Yeah.
And we all got to answer that for ourselves and stop looking for other people to answer it. And I think that's probably a bigger problem too, just looking to other people to answer shit that you should be having these conversations with upward instead of laterally.
Right. So we talked one of the questions I had was quantifying love. But we already talked about that. We talked about action and stuff like that. Let's talk about the compromise of love, right? We both our relationships, we've been in relationships and friendships and things, right? So when we quantify love, we have it measurable. And it comes with some compromise, right? Let's say you're not a social person. You don't enjoy going to the family barbecues. You're not really a big concert fan. You don't really like to hug and an affection thing. It's not you. You're more of a protector, provider. That's how I show my love, right? But you got a partner that loves to dance, that loves family gatherings, that wants to cuddle and just, be all, hey, baby.
Yep.
Is it your obligation, your duty, to do something for your partner, your friend, your sibling, even when you don't want to? Then is that cheating yourself?
Nope. Because
all right, let's talk about it.
Because part of it is, like I said, man, if we got all of the things that we wanted, right? If we, like, you would never be pushed to learn different aspects about yourself. Period. So like if you don't like going out, but your spouse likes going out, right? It's like, yo, I don't want every situation to be about what it is that makes me comfortable, what it is that I like. If I know this shit gonna make you happy, I might not even like them people. But you wanna go? Fuck it, we gonna go. I done been in a lot worse situations than this. So we gonna go, we're gonna have a good time, because you're gonna be able to say, you ain't gonna be over here complaining about it like, you never wanna do what I wanna do. Absolutely not. We gonna do it. So we may not do it all the time, but it was like, yo, we gonna do it. If this is what you're interested in, oh shit, she gonna kill me too. Yo, my wife we just did a staycation from Tuesday until this morning. We checked out of our hotel and then we drove up here, right?
Oh, nice.
So
with or without the kids?
So the staycation was without the kids. They came the last night.
Okay, cute.
Right?
I love it. All
but
right.
My wife has been talking about doing this paddle boat, right, for the longest. And we live right next to National Harbor. So anyway, she wanted to do this paddle boat. It's hot as fuck, It's hot as fuck outside. And I sweat easy anywho. So she wants to do the paddle boats. In my mind, I'm like, absolutely not. I don't want to do the paddle boat. I don't want to do the paddle boat. Why can't we just stay in the house? I'm going to take a nap before we go pick up the kids. We take a nap. So it's like, no, I want to do the paddle boats. I went into the paddle boats. And even though it was hot as fuck, and she realized it too when we got out there. So, but she got me out there, and she was just happy that I went out there. And then once she realized it was hot, I started talking all type of shit to her. I was like, well, I'm glad you finally just said it because I'm over here hot as a motherfucker. I got the shirt wrapped around my head. But you know, you do the things because it's not just for you. Love isn't something that's just supposed to be experienced for you. Love should be experienced. It should be reciprocal. So, you know, you might not like this friend or this family member that I got, but you know I love these motherfuckers. So just like, yo, I need you to have a better attitude.
Yes.
Just here. I mean, just at this moment, right? I'm gonna have a better attitude for you too. That's the compromise, and you shouldn't do it begrudgingly. Yeah. I tell everybody out there, don't do stuff begrudgingly. Have a good spirited heart. Be a cheerful giver is what it says in the Bible. You know, and don't do it begrudgingly, but realize that it's filling up that other person's cup,
which eventually is gonna be poured back into you. That the fact, even if you didn't want to go, I'll tell you now, the fact that you went with your wife, that took her to my man made the sacrifice for me, and guess what? I'm gonna make more sacrifices for him because that's the give and take of it. So when we talk about the sacrifice and the compromise, and she enjoys paddle boating. Now next time you be like, babe, I really don't feel like going paddle boating. Do you go, or do you expect that her to have some compromise and be like, you know what, you went last time, you're right, we don't have to go this time? And how often should that compromise take place?
I think that the compromise always takes place. Honestly, I think
so. It's always a give and take. If you went last time and you don't want to go the next time, that got to be respected. But you can't not go 2 times in a row.
You might not go 2 times in a row,
and that's okay.
It might be.
Okay, so what about the 4th time? Do you go or do you not go? Paddle boating.
Do you have a valid reason for not going?
Let's say you don't. Besides the fact that you don't like it and it's hot.
Yeah, if you don't have a valid reason on 4th
and
time.
And you told her twice on the 2nd and 3rd.
You setting yourself up for some shit. So if you don't, you might want to go. If it's 4th time, you ain't got no valid reason, ain't work calling, you ain't, you know what I mean, your mama died, no, you might want to go.
Right.
So, but compromise is important. And it sounds cliche, but it's not. I gotta put you first, and I gotta live on faith that you gonna put me first, right? We obviously are not always gonna meet that,
right?
Because we are all our own selfish individuals. But if I can try as more often than not to put you first, right? You know, that's my premise.
I love it.
That's my premise.
Do you believe in gender roles?
Yes and no.
Okay.
Yes and no.
One of again, a compromising thing.
Yeah. Yes and no. The biggest thing is that in my household, you know, I think that biblically we've been given roles, duties, and assignments.
Okay.
Right? And, you know, it doesn't mean that, you know, you got to do all of the cooking and, you know, I take out the trash or whatever. You know, no, it's just that, you know, it is my job to dig deeper in myself to have a yearning and a better relationship with God so that way I can better lead you. Right? It is your job. I know this is a touchy word, you know what I mean, to submit to what it is that I'm leading us towards. Right? And you know, my wife is an attorney, so by trade we going debate everything. Right? So, but if I have enough substance in what it is that I'm trying to get us to do, you know what I mean? That's what I'm looking for. That's what I expect. So it's just like, you know, if it says that, you know, it's me, you, and God, you know what I mean? And God gives it to me to be able to lead us or to lead our children, you know what I mean? Give me the space to go ahead and do that, right? And it's not to say that you're not doing it with me, but it's also to say that, you know, I need to be studying, I need to be practicing to be a better version of me so that way I can be the husband that you need, right? So
I like that. What does submission look like?
That shit changes every day. It depends on what it is. I think that I got to check my ego in the submission request. So you got to ask yourself whether or not, is it me asking you to do this, or is this the best thing from us biblically?
Okay.
Right? So, and like I said, my wife is an attorney, so over the years I've learned that, you know, debating ain't gonna work, right? But if I can put it biblically, I mean, like, in the Bible says this. right here. So, you know what I mean? What are we following?
So, were you this deep-rooted in your faith when you met your wife?
Yes.
If she wasn't equally yoked in that sense, would you have married her?
Yes.
Oh, okay. So that wasn't a requirement of yours?
No, because, I think my wife has deepened her faith greatly. But she would tell you herself if she was here. She was like, when Ty and I met, we were in two different places, right? So, where he was all deep in and being introspective into himself and shit like that. He was like, she hadn't taken that time out, right? So, but where she had developed and where she was great at was, exploring and pursuing her finances, getting all this stuff on the A game where I wasn't. So, just like, I had to realize what her strong points were and where she was good at and learn that shit. And then she had to figure out what my strong points were and where I was good at and learn that.
Okay, I like that.
Yeah.
When did you know that you were in love with your wife? Because then we're going to get into the different levels of love. Or maybe I should get into the difference of levels of love. Let's do that.
Okay.
And then I want to come back to when you knew you're in love. Do you think there's different levels to love? Yes or no?
Absolutely.
Yes, okay. So these are the three. This is how I always categorize love. I said you can have love for somebody, right? You can love somebody, and then you can be in love with somebody. And then I had somebody say, well, what's the difference? Well, love is love, right? It's not, right? And I always use the example of, I don't know why, but this incarceration, right? You might have gone to school with somebody that y'all was mad cool with, and you found out that, they committed a crime when they were younger and got a lot of time. So, for having love for that person, I'm going to send them a letter every now and again. Hey, just thinking about you, Merry Christmas. That's having love for somebody. Then it might go from just, having love for them to actually loving them. Like, damn, I hate that this is for you. Let me send you a little commissary with this letter now, or I'm going to shoot you a package twice a year or something. And then to be in love with somebody is they're getting the letters, they're getting the packages, they're getting the commissary, and they're getting the visits, they're getting the commitment. So that's how I define the different levels of love. Would you agree?
I would.
Oh, okay.
I absolutely would. You just hit it on the head with the last word you said. They get the commitment.
That's being in love.
You get the commitment.
All right. Okay. I didn't even
add nothing else to that.
Is that how you knew you were in love? You were ready to commit?
Absolutely. And I think I put up an old memory of mine on my social media the other day, and it was just saying, like, this applies to both men and women. And it was just like, and I said, when a man isn't rushed, when a man isn't forced to make a decision prematurely, when they're able to come to it on their own, it's their own decision. You're gonna benefit more from that person having that level of contentment, that level of commitment with his decision, as opposed to trying to force somebody or box somebody in to make something happen.
To conform to what it is you want, yeah.
The commitment aspect of it, or being in love, like I said, because it's an action. I'm choosing to love you today, Vi. I'm choosing. It's like, okay, yesterday, we was just fuck buddies. Today, I'm choosing to love you.
What happens tomorrow?
Well, if I done chose to love you and then gave you the commitment, that's supposed to happen tomorrow.
When you no longer want to commit, does that mean you're no longer in love?
Commitment is commitment. So for me, as long as I'm in it, I'm in it.
Does that include cheating?
No, that does not include cheating.
So a man who cheats a man who has committed, or not even a man. Let me stop gender, because chicks cheat too.
Oh, absolutely.
When an individual who has decided to commit, and then down the line they end up cheating, does that mean that they're no longer in love?
Not at all.
Okay. So then being in love is not just about the commitment, if we're going back to defining the levels.
Okay.
All right.
I actually appreciate that we just threw that shit out there. Because
we just put a monkey wrench in that. All right.
So, we are human and we make mistakes, both men and women. But because love endures all things, right? Some of that shit might be a stupid decision like that, right? And it might be addressing what led you to that.
Correct.
the younger version of Tyrell would have said that, you know, if someone cheats on me, you ain't got to worry. You ain't got to think about this. You ain't got to consider it. Like I told you, I had these running shoes on. We done. You know what I mean? But the more mature, seasoned Tyrell might be like, well, let's explore what happened.
Okay.
Let's explore. Is this something that we can get over? Is this something that's going to continue to rear its head? Because, you know, once you get to that, you might realize that, you know, what you're looking for is not here. And I got to be able to free you up to find what you're looking for.
Yeah.
But if it's just like, you know, I had a lapse in judgment. It was just like, you know.
How many times can that shit happen? How many times can Tyrell be cheated on and still accept and be in love?
I haven't had it tested yet. You know. So, you know, this is
it's not really a fair question.
You know, so it should sound good. And you know what happened? You like, man, hit me upside my head. You know, but I would like to say that I have matured enough to explore that it doesn't have to end just because of the act. That shit wasn't even something I was exploring before.
Yeah.
If I thought it was it, I'll show you, but not tell you.
Peace. Yeah. That's good. I like that you said that because I did a segment where I said cheating is the symptom and not the disease. It's usually a sign of something else. But I truly also believe if a person keeps stepping outside, it's something they're not getting. Whether the sex is subpar, whether the emotional connection is just not there, whether the trust has long dissipated, or whether the love has fallen off. There is something that keeps allowing you to step outside of me to fulfill your needs.
And it has nothing to do with the spouse 9 times out of 10. But once again, if you look at how we love the book, when it says we got to tap into our inner self, what it is that I'm missing, what it is that I'm lacking, what it is that I'm yearning for, to figure it out. And it can't just be because you made me mad, so I did that, or you know what I mean. But no, it goes. All of what we do is related to something a little bit more deeper than we probably are giving credit to.
Okay. Now, my production assistant said, how much time I got?
Got 2 minutes.
2 minutes? Well, I'm going to need a little bit more time. Can you set your timer for 10 and come back?
Sure. I'll come back at 3.
All right. Thank you. Everybody, he's doing a great job. He is for hire if you guys ever need him.
No, I'm not.
Let's see. We talked about the different levels of love. Do you think we give love too much weight? Do you think love is something we say, you know, we stick around in things because I love you. I love our friendship. I love what we used to have. I want that back. You've shown me it's no longer existing, but I love you, so I'm holding on. Like, do you think at some point love should no longer hold us hostage and we just gotta walk away?
Absolutely, because that's not love that's holding you hostage. Love shouldn't hold you hostage. Sometimes that is because this person knows too much of my history that I don't want to not be friends with you anymore, and then you go tell my business. But once again, that's not love.
Right.
Right? So, you know what I mean? For me, like I said, even if I'm not in your life, if I love you, I love you. That don't mean because I ain't talking to you today, I'm going to go tell your secrets and your business to everybody.
Right.
It's me. Everybody's built differently. But, no, I don't,
If you had to choose between love and loyalty, the actionable love.
Loyalty.
You would choose loyalty. Why?
Because I think that there's a lot of love and loyalty. You have to understand what it is that's making you to be loyal. What's pushing you to be loyal in the first place. And I think underneath a lot of it is going to be love.
Yes, I agree. I actually did that. I said if you have to choose between love and loyalty, choose loyalty. Because people are loyal to you, going to have some love for you. But people who love you may not necessarily be loyal. So, that was that. My final question, which I don't even think I need to ask, but I wanted it to be my final question for this segment. And we started off with what is love? And we need to finish with is love enough? And I think we concluded.
Love is not enough.
Love is not enough. I agree, fam. Love is not enough. And if it's not actionable, then I think it's purposeless.
Okay.
Why love me if you're not going to show me, if I can't feel it? if it's not
I'm still gonna push
quantifiable.
you on that one.
Push me.
I'm
Let's
still
go.
gonna push you on it because you might not feel how somebody else is loving you doesn't mean they're not loving you. You just might not be feeling it because they haven't decided to let go of how they love enough to embrace how you need to feel loved. And that's a process. Like, most of us, by the time we're coming together, think about it, we might be 20 years in, 30 years in, 40 years in, doing our own thing, trying to mash up with somebody else who's been doing their own thing for 20 years, for 30 years, for 40 years. It takes time.
Time that I don't fucking got. Life is, first of all, life is short and this shit ain't a rehearsal.
Okay.
I'm dead serious and I measure everything based on that. If I've given you years of my time and at the end I don't feel what I once felt and I'm expressing, you telling me, you know, there's nothing wrong, I know you still my friend. No, you know, I love you. But I'm not feeling it. You don't show up for me. Or when you do show up, you miserable as fuck there. Like, I just think at some point, like you said, the compromise has to come in. If I shouldn't say I don't care what you're going through. In light of what somebody may be going through, I think there's still an obligation to show up for people you love in a way that they should be able to feel it.
I agree. I don't think that love should be void.
Yeah.
Right? It should be reciprocal. But once again, I do know that because everyone loves differently, before I'm going to hang it up, I got to ask myself, have I identified how you love?
Okay.
Have I identified what it means to be loved by me? And then, you know what I mean, have we put in enough work? You know what I mean? A lot of people, I know before, you know what I mean, finances and therapy used to be taboo, but everybody talking about both of them just now.
Right.
Right? But sometimes therapy needs to be explored. I love therapy. You know what I mean? I absolutely love therapy. Therapy has forced me to see myself, but it has also forced me to realize that, you know, going back to how I experienced love as a kid, right? You know, part of me, I'm a pleaser. Right? Because, you know, so it's like I always wanted to please my mom, you know, it's like okay, oh shit, she mad at me, how do I make this up?
Oh,
blah, blah, blah. So, but, you know, just realizing that even being a pleaser is deficient by itself, so I've had to learn how to advocate for myself in love, learn how to speak up a little bit more, just don't be trying to please, right? So, it's a process, and you can't learn that without going through some stuff. You can't learn that just on a period of time, because you could be with somebody for 10 years, but if you're not doing the deep diving and exploring each other, you're just passing time. So to say, like, I've been with this person for 20 years, well, if I've been with this person for 20 years, but we didn't even have the tools to figure out how you loved and how I loved. So now once I learn the tools, I got to start at that point.
What if a person is like, I don't want to go to therapy, but you know they need it to get the tools, and it's leaving you with a dull hammer and a screwdriver that's not like, how are we really going to build when you're not willing to get the tools you need to build?
Now that's a different thing. If you're not willing to do the work, if you're not willing to take ownership or accountability, that's something totally different.
Really
you can't really do nothing with that.
I just want to plug therapy because therapy is super dope. Do you have a therapist that's black?
I do.
You do. That's amazing. I want to tell a quick story about the last week. I had such an eye-opening moment, and it's so important that we get a therapist that looks like us, because I know I need the treatment, right? I've been going 7 years strong, and I try not to miss an appointment at all. And I mean, usually if I miss, it's because maybe my therapist had a conflict and we had to. But last week it was my therapy appointment, and I needed to talk to this woman. Like, I needed to express some things that I needed to talk through. But I also was in the process of transitioning my hair, right? So I'm going from braids and I'm going to a weave. And it was smack dab in the middle. Like, it was 11:55. My therapy appointment was starting at 12. Had my therapist not looked like me, I would have missed out on the opportunity to have that appointment, because I needed to get my hair taken out because I was going somewhere and had to meet this hair appointment. And I literally sat on my Zoom meeting, taking my braids out, and she didn't bat a lash. And I think of a story I saw on somebody's Instagram, and it was a black nurse, and she said the white nurse said, I'm about to put a psych eval in for the patient in labor delivery room 300. And she's like, a psych eval? Why? You know, she's like, because every time I go in there, she's doing this.
Mm.
And the black lady was like, she doesn't need a psych eval. She has a weave and her head itches. Mm-hmm. But the white woman couldn't relate. Mm-hmm. A white woman probably would look like, what? Like, I would have been seen as ghetto, taking my hair out in a therapy appointment. But it's so important that we get the treatment that I think sometimes having a therapist who understands us doesn't get in the way of that treatment.
My first therapist was a white woman. And I don't necessarily think that it was her race as much that affected me than it was her spiritual foundation. So all therapists are not created equally, right? So I didn't know that I had influence, or I had a say in who was going to be my therapist. So on my first go around, I took what the insurance said. Oh, you meet this person, blah blah blah. There you go. But on the second go around, it was just like I actually can be a part of the process, and I was just like faith is huge for me. So I went for a faith-based therapist.
Nice.
And she happened to be black.
Okay, yeah.
And it was dope.
Dope.
And it's still been dope to this day.
And that's self-love.
Yeah.
Self-love. Get up for self-love.
Yeah.
Speaking of which, you introduce yourself as Tyrell Hughes from Albany, but you're more than that. Mm-hmm. You are a man who has his own podcast, the B.A.C K Community. Mm-hmm. It's bringing all communities knowledge. That's the acronym. You're a recent author. Mm-hmm. Tell us a little bit about, yes! Shout out to the fellow author in the building. Just give us a brief description about how your podcast came to be, how you got into writing your book, so the audience knows, and where we can find it.
Okay. All right. Well, podcast came to be in 2020, and that was because after everything that was going on in the world with the social unrest with George Floyd, I was coming from Costco, no lie, I was coming from Costco, driving home, and I'm listening to J. Cole's single, Snow on the Bluff, right? And in the song, he's talking about this girl from Chicago who was chastising all of the celebrities for not doing enough, right? And he's just explaining to her, he's like, you know what? I think you're right. I don't think that we are doing enough, right? And he was just like, but as opposed to chastising me, why don't you educate me on ways that I can get better involved?
Okay.
Right? So I'm coming home from Costco, I'm like, damn, all right, Albany's my heart, so regardless of where I am in the world, I'm always trying to advocate, I'm always trying to do projects in Albany, right? So it was like, well, how can I better get involved in what's going on? And I was just like, well, I've been sitting on this idea of interviewing people and using the power of story to inspire other people, right? And I was just like, you know what? Fuck it. I'm doing this in July. I'm starting in July, and that's what I'm going to do. I lined up some positive people that I thought of that always inspired me, and I was just like, you know what? I want to use them to inspire other people as well because they've inspired me. And that's how we came to do Bringing All Communities Knowledge. Recently, I said I authored my first book, Just a Kid from Arbor Hill, and that came to be, it's a labor of love, but, I'm a reader, I'm an avid reader.
Is it a memoir or a biography? Okay, all right.
It's a memoir, so it'll talk about, me making the transitions from being on Judson, from running the streets, from hustling, to getting kicked out of school, to excelling in college, to moving out of the country, you know what I mean, and how those things came to be, right? So, but, that's this book. You can get this on our website at thebackcommunity.info. It's also available on Amazon. I have the official release for it as of September. September is my birthday. September is my anniversary month. So I decided to make September my release for this one. But there's several people who have it already, and it has been out. But everybody else, I have a whole big package that's going out for all of my orders already. That's going out. And it's been really, really received very well. So thank everybody for your support on it, and I can't wait to get it in your hands.
Well, I want to order 2 copies for my boys because I think it's important for them to read. the experience of someone that they look like and who's come from a similar community. So I'm sure some great things in there. So thank you, for sharing that information, and thank you for joining me on the show, Tyrell.
Thank you.
I really appreciate that. You super dope, and you don't even live in the area anymore, but you came through. Thank y'all for tuning in. We know y'all could have been anywhere in the world today, but y'all chose to be here with us. We appreciate you. Peace.
Deuces.